Hello. Now, I have to be brutally honest here. I have the answers. And that's because, quite frankly, I get word blindness with these. And I lose the ability to know what's going on. And it just goes all... But now, this is a sneaky way in which teachers like to... what do they like to do? I don't know. What do they like to do? They like to test your English without having to do too much marking. They can just, like maths teachers, go tick, 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 tick. If I've insulted a maths teacher, please forgive me. So, it started off in the 50s and it was called Cloze, short for closure. So, there you have it. Next thing is, who hasn't read the passage? Go and read it. You're doing it on the screen. Okay, then. You found it boring. Well, it's not here to entertain you. It's here to test you. Yeah, so you've got to read it and you've got to pretend you're enjoying it, because if you're going, oh, no, no, you're not going to do as well as if you go, oh, that's all right. I'm not saying you have to sort of like say, gosh, this is the greatest piece of literature I've ever read. It's amazing. But try and rustle up whatever positivity you can find within yourself. So, I grow, through, toughen, up in Carmarthenshire, West Wales. Always do it at the very least sentence by sentence. So I grew, there we are, I grew up in Carmarthenshire, West Wales. That sounds right, doesn't it? My family moved there. Now, this sort of there is the there when it's like their dog. An heir is someone who inherits something. It belongs to you, so there. This sort of there is short for they are, and this is short for they are, but it hasn't got the apostrophe, so they're definitely wrong. So it's just this there. And that's with either here or there. See, can you see the here? Where? That would be with a W. Where? There. Here. That's how you remember those. Right. My family moved there when I was 9 years old. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Right. Do we need to discuss that one? 9 years old. And I left when I went to college 10 years later. Ooh, years. Now, the later doesn't belong to the years, so we don't need that. So it's this one. It's just a lot of years. It's easy to get over. People get a bit enthused with apostrophes. That they're not necessarily getting it wrong. They just kind of think, oh, that's great. I'll have more. But here you don't need it. It's just a lot of years. We lived on a 63-acre dairy, dietary, deity farm. You've got to be really careful with the reading on these. So would you live on a dairy farm? Would you grow dairies? So it's not that one. Dairy. Yes, dairy. A dairy farm is one way you have cows that produce milk. Quite often it will be a mixed herd as well. You'll have some follow-ups coming through and that sort of thing. Dietary is to do with your diet, and deity, it's not deity, deity is a sort of god. When we moved in, there was no heating in the house. And it was, is, will be, could be routine to wake up to ice on the inside of the aluminium framed windows whilst during the winter. Right, let's start again. When we moved in, there, that's short for they are without the apostrophe. That's they are with the apostrophe, and that belongs to them. So it's there because it's either here or there. I'm getting fed up with green. Should we carry on with green? Oh, all right then. But I'm going to have another colour next time. There was no heating in the house, and it was, is, will be, could be routine. So what tense is this? Yep, it's the past tense, isn't it? I grew up. My family moved in when I was 9. We lived. So it's past tense. So there was no heating in the house, and it was pink. And it's very strong, isn't it? It was routine to wake up with ice on the inside or inside Which do you fancy? Yeah, that one. Inside is all one word, isn't it? On the inside of the aluminium framed windows whilst the winter. During the winter. Oh, that's better, isn't it? I like that one. During the winter. My parents, so that is, that's one parent, his dog, my parents' dog. My dad had his parents' letter. It's a bit more dodgy. Parents, just two or more parents. Parents belongs to both parents. Were resourceful. But my father, there's no but. Why did I put but in? See, I told you I was a bit rubbish at this. So my parents, nothing's belonging to them, is it? So there we are. My parents were resourceful. That means they were very good at finding solutions with what they had rather than whinging about what they didn't have. Were resourceful. My father put in central heating, and my mother could make a good warming broth out of anything. Oh, that's true. That's true. She used to do really good lentil ones. Boil up chicken bones and have in some lentils. That was good. That's not what we're after, is it? Put in central. That's the one we want for that one. Central heating. And my mother can make good warming broth out of anything. Right, how are we doing on the thing? Let's move all the way up here. I didn't, don't, wouldn't, don't remember ever. Right, I didn't, I don't, right, that's didn't, I did not remember. It doesn't quite work, does it? Didn't hasn't got an apostrophe, so we can definitely get rid of that. Don't hasn't got the apostrophe. Wouldn't, I wouldn't remember ever wanting. I think it's I just don't you? I don't. Let's try blue. Well, that's all good. I don't remember ever wanting, having, feeling cold. Wanting cold doesn't work, does it? Having cold, having a cold would work, but not. I don't remember ever feeling cold. Yeah, so we'll go for that. We got our water from a spring. Oh, now we're testing the little punctuation. And we had that with some of these things here as well, didn't we? We got our water from a spring. Notice that. Can you see my parents starts with a capital, so we want a full stop, which I think is that one. My parents had only ever experienced mains water before, and had not. My parents had only ever experienced mains water. Belongs to the main? Don't think so. Mains. Oh, now that is a mane of a lion, and this is something that belong the mane. It's and that belongs to lots of manes. My sister-in-law did some work in South Africa on lions when they had, I think, feline AIDS. Did you know such things existed? I didn't. And anyway, I kept saying, could you get me just a little bit of a mane? So that, because wouldn't it be great to have a piece of lion mane? But both her and my brother who was with her said, they are disgusting. You know when the lions sort of go in and they eat everything, I said it gets covered with it all. So it's not like Simba's father with his whooshing locks. What a shame, isn't it? Mains, water. I'm going to plump for that one. Shall we check the answers just in case? Yeah, mains, water. That's the one. Mains, water. Before. I need to go back to my parents. Had only ever experienced mains water before. That's water that just comes out of the tap from the big water companies. And had not consequence, considered, confused, commented, contended, enquiring as to how reliable the spring was when they brought the property. So that's the farm, the property. So they had not considered. Should we go for it? Ooh, yeah, we'll go for that anyway. Had not considered inquiring, asking about how reliable the spring was when they bought. Let's go for another colour other than red. Shout out, what do you fancy? Should we go for grey? I don't like that one. Oh, come on, nobody likes that grey. Surely not. Oh, I'm not quite sure how that happened. Hang on, bear with me. Right, here we are. Right. Okay, we'll stick with the grey. Right, bought. If you bring something, you brought it. If you buy something, you bought it. It's all in that R. So go to bring for brought. However, fortune favours the slow, clever, brave, quick, hardy. Now, fortune, that means luck. So would it favour the slow? Clever? Brave? Perhaps? Quick? Perhaps? Hardy? It's brave. It means if you give something a go, things are more likely to work for you than if you just sort of sit around hoping for it to happen. And so fortune favours the brave. And luckily, it was remarkably, regrettable, reliable, resentful, recent. Well, what was? Hang on. What's the it here? It's the spring, isn't it? Let's go back a bit and we'll have a good whoosh at it because we're getting a bit bogged down, aren't we? My parents had only ever experienced mains water before and had not considered inquiring how reliable the spring was when they bought the property. However, fortune favours the brave, and luckily it was remarkably reliable. That means it just kept going. Regrettable. I regret that happened. Resentful. It's not fair. Resentful, spent another way. Notice the two L's there. Doesn't have two L's, it would only have one L. And recent, just happened a short while ago. Even in the drought of 1977, it didn't run dry. Hang on, let's see if I get them all up. Draft as in a door. Draft as in a document that you do. It's a sort of halfway house before it's finally finished, the draft. The drought. So this is testing your vocabulary and spelling. So that's the drought, and that's a long period of dryness, of when there's just no rain. Right, so even in the drought of 1977, it didn't run dry. No, it didn't. I tell you what, though, it was hot. Went on all summer. It's just brilliant. Hot. But the water got. It was no water. Our neighbours. Oh, now this is a bit of punctuation and spelling. Now it's an I before E. They're checking. Oh, look, we've had a little bit of a correction going on here, haven't we? That was spelt the other way round. So choose whichever one you like because they're both the same. I'm going to go for that one. That was naughty, wasn't it? Sometimes these programs do. They go, you got it wrong, and change it. Neighbours, that is my neighbour's dog. One neighbour. And neighbours, you see, it's left the neighbours spelt wrong there. Dog, that would be lots of neighbours, their dog. Anyway, that's the one we want, though I have noticed that that's the same. Had to carry water from the river 3 miles away, but not us. That's true. They used to have to take these milk churns down to the river. Now, milk churn, it's about up to my waist, and they are heavy, really heavy. Fill it up with water, bring it up. That's a long time because you've got other things to be doing other than that job. And, of course, the rivers were running very low as well. It stays before bottled water as well. I don't know what they did for drinking, but it was, the water's really tight. The cows, right, so our neighbours had to carry water from the river 3 miles away, but not us. The cows were got, given, give priority. And every drop, right, the cows were given priority. That means they got it before we got it. The cows were most important because that they needed to drink. and it's a livelihood, and you kind of, yeah. The cows were given priority, so they got it first, and every drop will, is, was, can be, could be treasured. I think it was treasured. It's always very tempting on these ones, but it's just easy words to think to go for something more elaborate. Just keep it simple. Let's wiggle ourselves up a bit. A milking dairy cow drinks about 30 to 50 gallons of water each day. That's a lot, isn't it? That's 8 pints, which is, you know what a pint of beer looks like, or a pint of milk. 8 pints to a gallon. So 50 gallons would be 400 pints of water each day. In hot weather, this can double. 400, that's 800 pints of water. It's a huge amount of water. Now, which weather do you want? This one. This is the kind of weather that means sunshine, rain. That's whether or not it will rain. Right. Can you see how we keep going backwards, checking that we know what's going on? A milking dairy cow drinks about 30 to 50 gallons of water each day. In hot weather, this can double. But the spring kept going. Just. This experience at, in, out, and a, on, influential age has left me. This experience at an influential, yes, that's it. It's an, isn't it? Because if it's got a vowel on the word A-E-I-O-U and occasionally an H, you have an in front of it. So it's an apple, an elephant, A-E-I, an insect, an orange, an umbrella, an umbrella. Oh, see. But it's a banana, a cat, a dog. So all vowels have an, and occasionally, particularly older or slightly sort of better educated people than me will say an history. See, it doesn't sound right, does it? An hotel. Now I do say an hotel, but then they tend to drop the, I don't know. They tend to drop the H's on that, but it's okay because they're posh. Whereas if I drop the H, shall we move on? I think we should. Right. This experience at an influential age has left me with a lasting appreciation of clean, plentiful water. Ooh, look. It's a list, isn't it? It describes the water. And so it's a list of adjectives. Clean, comma. Ooh, I think we want a stronger one than that, don't we? We'll give that one the red this time. There we are. Ooh. Of clean, plentiful water. And that's in a list of adjectives. And that very often turns up. I hope I never fail to be grateful. How many L's do we want? Do you remember? Yeah. The only grateful with 2 L's is full itself. All the others we'll go back to having blue, I think. Right. I hope I never fail to be grateful that I can turn on the tap and there it is. Where's what is? I'm going back a bit. Right. This experience at an influential age has left me with a lasting appreciation of clean, plentiful water. I hope I never fail to be grateful that I can turn on the tap and there it is. Oh, it is, that being the water. After 30 years of marriage, I still find it incredibly, incredible. I think it's that one, don't you? Incredible. Let's have a look at this. Incredibly. It's not that one. Incredibly. Incredible. It just doesn't look right, does it? Incredibly. Now let's go for this one. I still find it incredibly indulgent. That means incredible means you can't believe it. Oh, it's incredible. I can't believe it. And indulgent means you look after yourself with a bit more finesse and luxury than is strictly necessary. So if I've got, and sometimes I do, have my favourite chocolates up here so that I can have a sneaky chocolate when I've done a video. It's an indulgence. It's a particularly nice and luxurious thing that I give myself. Right. So back to the beginning of the sentence because we've lost our track. After 30 years of marriage, I still find it incredibly indulgent to pour a bath of more than 3 inches. Right, let's pour. That's a sort of like a pour, like a small hole. This is the pour as in to pour. That quite often turns up in these words where the phonic blends change because it says hour, doesn't it? But put the P in the front, it says pour. After 30 years of marriage, I still find it incredibly indulgent to pour a bath more than 3 inches deep. No, let's see. Does this deep belong to anyone? No, we're just counting, aren't we? We're counting the number of inches. So it's that one, more than 3 inches deep. My husband, however, likes to have they all look the same, so right, got to be careful with the reading. Dryly, diary, daily, dairy, daily. A daily bath filled right up to the overflow. He does. I mean, how can you do that? Don't you think that's a bit, you think like, whoa. So right up, that's the kind of right where you write with your hand. So we could have put the other right in, couldn't we? Right up to the overflow. Incredible. Well, it is. Now, let's see. Incredible. And then here we are. We've got a capital there. So that starts a new sentence. So it's not going to be that comma. It's not going to be speech marks because nobody's saying anything. Not going to be those speech marks. So, question mark? Am I questioning? Incredible. No. Full stop. It's a bit bland, isn't it? It's a exclamation mark. Incredible. And so it is. Right. Oh, keep highlighting things accidentally. Right. So, I salve my conscience. Salve is a sort of like a cream, an ointment that you put on, a lip salve, to make things feel better. It's something just to sort of calm things down. I salve my conscience. That means makes myself feel better. Ooh, conscience. It's how it's spelt, but it doesn't look right, does it? Conscience. Is that the same again? I do wish it wouldn't keep doing that. Consents. It's conscience. It's become, or even conscience, but we've come to say it sloppily. It's probably conscience, but we've got sloppy and go conscience. So that's the one we want there. So I salve my conscience by hopping or hoping. Notice that that changes that O to an O, whereas this extra P protects it. So by hopping or hoping, I think we're going to have to read the whole sentence right to the end to work it out. So I salve my conscience by in the bath with him. Hopping. By hopping in the bath with him. However, no, it's not however, is it? However rubbish your day, you have to take good notice of that. However rubbish of your day, take a moment to be thankful for clean, plentiful water. It is truly a modern day miracle. Yeah, now what do you fancy there? Well, my initial thing was, however, I've got to stop doing that. Shout at me if I do it again. However rubbish your day, take a moment to be thankful for clean and plentiful water. It is truly a modern day miracle. Now notice that. It's not a capital, is it? So nobody started speeches, so we don't want that. So we're not going to finish the sentence. So we don't want this exclamation mark. There's a full stop at the bottom. We don't want this question mark. There's a full stop at the bottom. Is that a comma or a full stop? Don't like it. Anyway, we're going to go for this colon. However rubbish your day, comma, take a moment to be thankful for clean and plentiful water. And the colon is, here it comes. It is truly a modern day miracle. I have to say, I truly believe that. I hope I never make, take, took, try, ask it for granted. So what do? I hope I never take it for granted. Now, we think we finished at that point, not least because I've just heard them shouting that it's time to sit up. But before we go any further, we're going to go over the whole thing and check that it reads properly, because sometimes a problem will crop up. I grew up in Carmarthenshire, West Wales. My family moved there when I was 9 years old, and I left when I went to college 10 years later. We lived in a 63-acre dairy farm. When we moved in, there was no heating in the house, and it was routine to wake up to ice on the inside of the aluminium framed windows during the winter. Yeah, those metal frame windows were jolly cold. My parents were resourceful. My father put in central heating. Yeah, he did a good job of that as well. And my mother could make good warming broth out of anything. I don't remember ever feeling cold. No, I really don't. I remember that there was cold, but I don't remember feeling it. We got our water from a spring, full stop. My parents had only ever experienced mains water before and had not considered inquiring as to how reliable the spring was when they bought the property. However, fortune favours the brave, and luckily it was remarkably reliable. Even in the drought of 1977, it didn't run dry. Our neighbours, I before it says A, so we don't need the I before E. Good, I'm going to go for that. Our neighbours had to carry water from the river 3 miles away, but not us. The cows were given priority, and every drop was treasured. Gosh, it was. A milking dairy cow drinks about 30 to 50 gallons of water each day. In hot weather, this can double. But the spring kept going, just. An experience... hang on. Yeah, I know it's lunch. I'll be with you soon. This experience, at an influential age, has left me with a lasting appreciation of clean, plentiful water. I hope I never fail to be grateful that I can turn on my tap and there it is. After 30 years of marriage, I still find it incredibly indulgent to pour a bath more than 3 inches deep. My husband, however, likes to have a daily bath filled right up to the overflow. Incredible. So I salve my conscience by hopping in with him. However rubbish your day, take a moment to be thankful for clean and plentiful water. It is truly a modern day miracle. I hope that I never take it for granted. Yeah, no, I hope I don't, because it gives me a huge amount of pleasure. Thank you very much. And remember, you haven't finished it until you've read the whole thing carefully to make sure it makes sense. Bye-bye.